Hey bag ladies and bag dudes, today I'm going to be talking about the piping foot. I'll give you another sneak peek at the Clydebank tote, Harris tweed fabrics. The book review will be for Diary in Stitches. I'll be demonstrating how to use a nail polish bottle in the sewing room, and there's a great giveaway at the end. I'm Sarah Lange from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Sewcial Sunday, my weekly sewing chat. Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me for Sewcial Sunday. I'm so happy that you're here with me tonight. I see Sheila's watching from Texas. Oh, Danny's a little slow at getting the comments off. Come on, Danny. Sybil's watching from Oklahoma, and Joanna from Virginia, I think it was. Mary from New York. Oh, he's getting me back. He's making them go through super fast now. Anyway, thank you everyone so much for joining me for Sewcial Sunday. Just a friendly reminder, just about everything that I talk about during Sewcial Sunday are things that I've purchased myself. So these are not things that I'm getting paid to talk to you about, but just cool things that I found that I'd like to share with you. And also everything that I'm scheduled to talk about, I link to in the description. So if you're interested in finding out more about any of the notions, fabrics, books, or projects that I talk about during Sewcial Sunday, just check that link in the description and you can find out more information there. All right, so the notion of the week, I had a request to talk about my piping foot, and while I admit that depending on your machine, your piping foot might look slightly different, or your piping foot options at least might look slightly different than mine does, but I think the general idea is the same. So I'm going to jump over to the side camera. I'm going to show you what my piping feet look like, and I have some in different sizes, so I wanted to show you the sizes as well. And then after I show you the piping feet, I have a really short video clip to show you how I attach piping to a bag. So here's a bag sample. This is the Crimson and Clover train case. And as you can see, the pink over here, that's the piping. So basically that's fabric with some cotton cording inside to give it sort of like an elevated look. I think it really looks nice and can really spiff up a bag depending on where you're putting it. Most bags you can opt to put piping in if you wish. So let me grab my feet and I'll jump over and meet you over at the side camera. Okay, so here are the 3 piping feet that I own, and I think Danny can probably zoom in just a second. So the feet depend on if you have sort of a cutout. As you can see, this, thank you, Danny. This foot right here has the cutout toward the left side of the foot, and as you can see, this foot over here has the cutout on the right side of the foot. So it basically depends on how you want to orient your fabric as it goes through the machine. While I do have both of these styles, I do prefer the left because then I can have a little bit more fabric for the foot to grab onto if the piping is maybe about a ½ inch away from the edge of the fabric. So these are my 2 feet for my Juki. You can probably see the model numbers on them. These are both 1/4 inch feet, and I also have a 3/16 of an inch foot as well. So I generally use Dritz cable cord, which is 5/32 of an inch piping, and this is the foot that I use that particular Dritz cable cord piping with. I do have this smaller foot. Let me put them side by side just so you can see the size difference. As you can see, 3/16 of an inch is slightly smaller. Okay, so that's what the feet look like. We're going to cut over to a video clip just showing me attaching the piping to the lid of the train case or front of your bag, what have you. But it's a really short clip, so enjoy. And we're going to veer this end off the edge of the fabric, just like this. Okay, let's take it over to the sewing machine. Okay, so this is what my piping foot looks like in case you're curious. As you can see, it has an indentation where the piping will fit. And there's different piping feet for the opposite side. So I have another foot that has the casing sort of for the piping on the other side. But this is the one I'm going to use for this particular project. And again, like I said, you don't need a piping foot. Your regular foot's fine. And if you're using a regular foot, you'll use that 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm actually going to lengthen my stitch length. So for this, I'm going to use 4 millimeters, and you can do that even if you don't have a piping foot. Okay, so hopefully that made sense, the explanation of what the piping looks like and how it's used. The really great thing about the piping foot, in that video clip you just saw me attaching the piping to what is the front of the bag. When you go to attach, say the top panel with the zipper to the bag, I actually, since I used the piping foot and I used a darker color thread, I used red thread for attaching the piping, I went ahead and just sewed on top of my previous stitches for when I attached the front of the bag, which was that piece you saw right there, to the top of the bag with the zipper. So that means I have really nice and tight piping on my bag, or in the case of the train case, in the lid. So the reason that you want the piping to look nice and tight is you don't want little gaps over here where your fabric kind of pulls away from the sides of the case. You want the piping to be nice and tight and crisp, and I feel like, in my opinion, that's when it looks the best. All right, so I wanted to give you sort of another sneak peek of the free video and pattern that's coming this Tuesday, in case you didn't see last week's sneak peek. We filmed the video this past Wednesday for the Clyde Bank Tote. Again, that's a free pattern to go along with the book club, and if this is the first time that you're hearing about the book club, there's a link in the description. There's still a couple more days if you'd like to join us and read the first book in the book club before our discussion on Tuesday. Again, I'm just going to slide over my bag that I made for the video, and it's got a really great succulent fabric. I was really excited to use this with some natural looking cork. But anyway, this is size small of the bag. There's a larger version as well, which I'll be showing on Tuesday when we show off the video, but unfortunately this is all that I'm going to be showing for now, because I was really excited to keep the full view of the bag as a surprise. So hopefully I'll see you this Tuesday. The show will be in our normal time slot, which is 7 p.m. Central Time, on both Facebook and YouTube. And as soon as the show wraps up, we'll be discussing the first book. As soon as that show wraps up, we'll be posting the free video and free pattern for the Clyde Bank Tote. So I'm really excited about that. So I have a question for you. Let me know in the comments. I wanted to know, in view of me showing the succulent fabric, I want to know if you garden and what your favorite plant is. So I admit I don't have a lot of experience gardening. I don't mind doing it, but I feel like there's so many other things as far as sewing, and I have a lot of chores that I don't normally do on a regular basis, and so I feel like gardening is not super high on the list. But when we first moved into our house, I certainly had dreams of having a great vegetable garden with lots of vegetables that I could use in cooking. But then over time I realized that's a lot of work for my time availability. So maybe one day I'll give gardening another shot. It'd be certainly nice to have my own fruits and vegetables to eat, but oh well, it is what it is. All right, the fabric that I've added to my stash this week, I wanted to show Harris Tweed. I couldn't remember if I've shown it in the past, maybe a year and a half ago, but I do still have it in my stash. I still, unfortunately, have not used it, so figured it's a good chance to show it on the show if I haven't shown it already. I only have 2 pieces, but I'm going to jump over to the side camera and show you my Harris Tweed. Okay, so I purchased both of these pieces of fabric on Etsy, and they were both from shops in the UK. And they are genuine Harris Tweed. I've linked to Etsy in the description because I felt like it was the best and easiest way to find a good selection of Harris Tweed. But anyway, the Harris Tweed is a good thickness. It's certainly thicker than quilting cotton. And I got a solid color, a really bright fuchsia. And I also purchased this sort of teal color with a herringbone pattern. So there's lots of different, there's plaids available, all sorts of different bright colors. There's more neutral colors as well. But I feel like the Harris Tweed would make a really great classic looking bag or a small clutch. So hopefully I'll get to use some of this soon. I purchased a yard of each just to make sure I'd have enough for whatever bag I decided to make with it one day. But if you do purchase the genuine Harris Tweed, they usually send you little Harris Tweed labels, which are pretty fun, and you can sew into the front or back or inside of your bags if you wish as well. And again, this is Harris Tweed, and I've linked to the general selection of Harris Tweed over on Etsy. Okay, so I have another question for you. Let me know in the comments. Have you used wool for a bag before? So I've used wool for 1 or 2 bags in the past. I've not yet used the Harris Tweed, but I like how wool kind of gives a general neutral palette to a bag. When you have a neutral bag, you can certainly use it with any outfit. It doesn't, don't have to worry about it being mismatched if you're wearing sort of a bright red outfit and maybe, I don't know, a purple and green bag, something like that. Neutral colors, especially with wool, always match every single outfit. So I have a really fun story to share with you if you didn't already catch it over in the Facebook group. But I got a really exciting email last night from Natalie Fergie, who is actually the author of our very first book club selection. And I just about fell off my chair when I opened Natalie's email. Natalie thanked me for choosing her book for our book club. And also she said she would like to join the Facebook group. And I didn't know what her plans were, but we approved her as a member of the Facebook group, and she wrote a very kind post right away. I've linked to Natalie's post in the description of the show in case you haven't seen her Facebook post yet and wanted to see it, but she was very kind. She responded or liked a lot of our members' comments, and I think we were almost up to 300 comments to Natalie's post, so I was really proud that everyone was letting her know they enjoyed her book, and we're excited that she was here in the group. And I'd have to say that was I was super flattered that, first of all, she emailed me, she joined the group. I was very honored that she was so kind to everyone's comments, and she said she was going to try to stay awake for the Tuesday show when we discuss her book, and I was honored to hear that as well. So it makes the book club all that more exciting, and I know several of you have mentioned this in emails in the past week or two. I've gotten a lot of emails from people letting me know how much they enjoyed the book, and a few people said they were not sure how that I was going to top this book for the next and future book club selections. And after actually personally getting an email from the author and having her comment in the Facebook group, I am not sure how we can top this for book 2, but I'll sure try. But very exciting. It makes me slightly nervous for Tuesday's book club selection, but I'm usually pretty prepared for the live shows. I have all my questions ready, and just a little bit nerve-wracking to know that the author of the book is actually watching the book club discussion. So I'd like to invite you now. Let us know in the comments. Go ahead and type on Facebook or YouTube either Bag Lady or Bag Dude. I really am so proud of our community. I'm so happy and excited that we can have community events like the book club and the swaps and the sew-alongs. To be honest, none of these events could happen without all of you, because if, say, for instance, if we had sew-alongs in the past and maybe like 2 or 3 people participated, it wouldn't be that exciting and it wouldn't be encouraging to have future events. But to know that so many people are on board for all of our events, the swaps, the sew-alongs, the book club, it just makes it very exciting, makes me want to do more events like this for the community. And it's just fun. Like, I've always been into planning things and coming up with new different things that we can participate as a community in regards to sewing. Just makes me super happy. So thank you so much for watching the shows and being part of the community. All right, so the book review for this week is a book called Diary and Stitches. The author is Minky Kim. She's got a few books out, but I wanted to show you this one because she has a really interesting take on using fabric and drawing and illustrations. So I'm going to jump over to the side camera and show you that book right now. Okay, so the book, here's the book cover. It's called Diary and Stitches. The author is Minky Kim. And there's a few smaller accessory projects, but I think the main takeaway that I got from this book is how to illustrate with your sewing, how to draw with your sewing machine and fabric. So the cover project kind of gives you an idea of what's in store in the book. I'm going to just pop it open and show you the projects as well as some of the illustrations. So as with all sewing and quilting books, the beginning of the book is just covering the basics. And in this book, I feel like the basics in this particular book are very unique. So Minky illustrates, as you can see from this, with her sewing machine, thread, and fabric. As you can see, the fabric is more or less appliqued on, and I feel like because you can sort of see random assortments of fabric sticking out, it gives it a really precious and unique take at illustrations. So I really love this. she shows you how to incorporate this into several different projects. So here's the projects. So just little ideas that you can showcase sort of the illustration with the fabric. So here's a zippered pouch. There's also a sewing case right here, which is very cute with the thread and the scissors on the lid of the case. And then a wall pocket, which has these really cute envelopes on the front. So the projects, there's just a few projects, but like I said, my main takeaway was learning how to do this illustrating. And here's that sewing machine again, very darling. I love it. A mini quilt. And then I think we're getting over soon. Oh, here's another one. Pillow with some sneakers on it. This kind of reminds me of the sneakers I was wearing today, actually. And then here's all of sort of the designs that you can use to be inspired to do your own illustrating with thread and fabric. So as you can see from each one, there's just a little bit of fabric utilized. You could certainly add as much fabric as you like, but I feel like it makes your eye drawn to each of the pieces that have the fabric, which I think is really special. Actually, there was one that I wanted to show you that I meant to show you from the front of the book. So this is Minky's family, and as you can see, you know, they're having a lot of fun. This is actually her drawing, and she uses a lot of drawings on her Instagram account of her family using the same technique with the thread drawing and the fabric. So I think it's really special, something I've actually not seen anyone else do before. So there's tons of different ideas, the drawings as well as the finished ideas with the fabric and thread. So I'm not going to flip through all of them because there's lots of them here, but I think you get the basic idea. And here's one where lots of different fabric was used basically for the whole picture. So let me see if I can pull a few more out just to show you a few more. So again, these pieces of color that you see on the screen, that's all fabric. Hooray, it's today, very cute. Makes you excited about sewing. Today's the day for sewing. All right, so again, this is Diary in Stitches, written by Minky Kim, and I neglected to link to her Instagram account, but after the show I certainly will do that because her Instagram account is really fun and her projects are just as precious, even more so than the projects in that particular book. So I'd like to invite you now, if you enjoy our live shows, if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit the share button right now so you can share this sewing video with your other sewing friends on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, I hope you will consider subscribing so that you can be automatically notified every time we go live or have a new free video or sewing tutorial out. And regardless if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, if you could at least hit the like button, which is the little picture of the thumbs up. The likes, shares, and subscribes do help us out so much. So thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate that. So my demonstration for tonight, it's a quick demonstration, but it's something that I never would have thought of. I had an email from Sheila, and she mentioned this technique is used for doll clothing. So I've never made doll clothing before. I don't know if you have either, but sometimes when making doll clothing, the pieces are so itty bitty that it's really hard to make the project by I guess normal sewing circumstances, by sewing right sides together and turning. Sometimes the portions either need to be left raw, or the little tops and pants are just so small that there's no room for serging. So the edges need to be finished in some way. And Sheila gave me the idea to demonstrate using a nail polish bottle. So I'm going to jump over to the side camera and show you exactly what I mean by that. Okay, so I admit I did not have any empty nail polish bottles, so I went and bought a small pack of them over on Amazon, although I think Sheila mentioned that you could also use an old nail polish bottle and just use nail polish remover to clean it out really well. Another item that you'll need for this method is a seam sealant, so either Fray Check or Fray Block. And then I prepared a couple samples of fabric. So first off, the Fray Block is meant to go in the nail polish bottle. So I'm going to just, it's getting over enthusiastic and jumping out of the bottle before me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and seal up this nail polish bottle. So I prepared 2 different pieces of fabric sewn using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, a quilting cotton, and this is cork fabric. So I'm going to try sealing the edges using just the traditional bottle. So as you can see, it's kind of a little tricky to get it evenly on both sides. I've got a lot on this side and not as much on this side. So the bottle makes it a little bit more cumbersome, especially with this really thin quilting cotton. The nice thing about the nail polish bottle is I feel like you have a little bit more control. I think most of us have used nail polish sometime in our lives, so painting it on is really easy. And as Sheila mentioned in her email to me, she said this method was used for finishing raw edges of, you know, little doll clothes, so that might be quilting cotton, but I thought it was a really good idea to use to seal the edges of the cork fabric too, if you prefer, or any material where you just want to keep the backing fabric sealed in to prevent it from fraying. So you may recall from a past Social Sunday that I used various other materials in the past for the edges of cork fabric, like edge coat, but the seam sealants such as Fray block or Fray check is a really good item to use on the cut edges as well. I usually leave mine raw, but especially if you're selling a bag, you may consider sealing the edges in some form or another. So as you can see, that nail polish bottle made it really easy. My edges are sealed. I don't have a lot of mess dripping down on my fabric, and you can usually either recycle an old nail polish bottle, or I found it really inexpensively on Etsy as well. So that's the demonstration for the week. Thank you again to Sheila for emailing me that great idea. How fantastic, and Violet will be using the rest of the nail polish bottles that I got in that little pack for some sort of coloring. Violet makes a lot of slime. She's been making slime for I think at least a couple years now. She makes at least a couple different slimes every day, so I'm sure that's going into her little slime arsenal over there. So I'm going to be answering some questions live in just a second. So if you have a question for me, either a sewing related question, bag making related question about a notion or tool, go ahead and type your question in the comments right now, and I'll be answering as many questions that I can live. Before I get to the questions, I wanted to announce the winner of last week's giveaway, and that winner was, okay, I forgot to write it down. How disappointing. Danny, maybe you could help me out. I put the winner's name in the comments of last week's video just so I can announce it live on the screen. I know the last name was Fawcett, but the first, yes, YouTube or Facebook. All right, Danny's going to check on that really quick. How embarrassing. I don't know how that happened. So many things to prepare before the video starts. All right, so I am really excited about the book club this Tuesday. I hope you'll join us, even if you haven't read the book. I'll be showing the completed
Sunday's video.
Sunday's video. I'll be showing the free video and project for the Clydebank tote on Tuesday's show. And
where is it on here?
It should be in the description of the show. Sunday's show.
This is Sunday's show.
Yep. I see it right there. Sue Fawcett, is that correct?
I don't know where you're looking.
The second paragraph. First paragraph. Last sentence.
Yep, Sue Fawcett.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Sorry, everyone. So the winner of last week's giveaway was Sue Fawcett. Congratulations to you, Sue. I've contacted Sue on social media, and as soon as I hear back, I'll get her set up with her prize. So congratulations. Sandy says, where did you get your piping foot? I'm not sure if I purchased the piping feet from... I tend to purchase a lot of feet and things for my Juki from the website Sew Direct. I've also purchased feet in the past from eBay. So I've had these for a few years, so I can't remember where exactly I purchased them. So it's a 50-50 chance, either Sew Direct online or eBay. Mary says, question, is there an update on the Sublime Bag Sew-Along? I know the Sew-Along is happening sometime in March. I know we're already getting up to the middle of March, so that kind of minimizes the choices. If I had to guess, I would say end of March. If Michelle or Bronwyn are watching, maybe they could pipe in with an update, but by the end of March for sure. Lottie says, question, have you ever demoed a hump jumper? I do have that on my list for, let me see. I don't normally schedule myself out for Social Sunday topics, but I actually recently did. So not next Sunday. The Sunday after, I'll be talking about the hump jumper, also known as the Gina Majig. It's a really useful tool for sewing over not only seams when you're making jeans, but also thick seams when you're, for example, top stitching the top edge of a bag. So again, 2 Sundays from now, I'll be demonstrating the hump jumper. Lois says, how do you determine the placement for purse feet if not indicated on the pattern? So I guess it depends on the bag. If it is a bag with just a bottom panel, that's relatively easy. I usually like to measure out 1.5 inches away from each corner. So that means, pretend like this is the bottom panel for a bag. So I'll measure up 1.5 inches and over to the side 1.5 inches and make a marking for a purse foot. And I'll do the same thing for each of the 4 corners. If the bag sort of has a gusset or a side panel that wraps around the bag and the sides, a little bit of consideration will need to be taken for where exactly that's going to be placed. A good tip for that though is to lay out your main panel and see, because the main panel is usually the front of the bag, you can potentially measure in 1.5 inches where your gusset or side panel will hit the main panel. So you can use that as a guide. Other than that, if you're absolutely not sure about the purse feet, generally you can put most of the bag together. For example, you can assemble the exterior of your bag before you attach it to the lining in any way. You can potentially insert the purse feet that way if you've assembled the whole entire exterior, because that'll give you a better idea where exactly the bottom of the bag is, and then you'll be able to easily measure, and you can certainly install purse feet even if your bag is starting to get 3-dimensional, if your exterior is already sewn together. Jerry Lynn says, how can you shorten a metal tooth zipper and sew over it? So that's a great question. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel demonstrating different types of zippers, and in that particular video I also showed how to remove metal zipper teeth if you need to shorten a zipper. And all you need to do is go to the YouTube channel and in the search box on the Sew Sweetness channel, type in types of zippers and you should find that video there. Karen says, are there plastic templates available for the Lilium laptop bag or the Sloan travel bag? Not yet. We don't have acrylic templates available for those particular 2 patterns yet. However, we're slowly adding more and more acrylic templates. We're trying to add maybe 1 or 2 a month, depending on how many things we need to reorder in the acrylic template department. The Park Sling backpack acrylic templates and the Aragon acrylic templates will be arriving to us this Thursday, so we'll have those in stock on the website starting probably in the afternoon on Thursday, which is March 14th. BJ says, Sarah, I just finished the airplane bag. Can you tell me the purpose of veering the zipper off as opposed to just ending it? So that's a really great question. I don't happen to have any airplane bag bags in the studio, samples to show you. But basically the airplane bag is assembled with just a front and a back fabric, and it's made 3-dimensional by gussets, which form the bottom of the bag. So the reason that the zipper on the top of the bag closure needs to be veered off the edge of the fabric is if you didn't veer it off the edge of the fabric, you would see the ends of your zipper tape. They would be showing outside the seam allowance. So by veering the zipper off the edge of the fabric and out of the seam allowance, you'll have just the zipper continuing on to the fabric. Hopefully that makes sense. I do have another video on my YouTube channel demonstrating that technique in more detail. And again, you can find that by doing a search on the YouTube channel for how to veer a zipper. Kathy says, what size Wonder Clips do you use? I want to try them, but I don't know what size to buy. So I actually have 2 different sizes. I'm gonna slide over and grab them. Oh, I have so many Wonder Clips. I have 2 little cups of these Wonder Clips in the studio. So I have about 100 of these. These are the regular size right here. I usually buy them in different colors. They also make a jumbo size, which this is the jumbo right here. I don't use this very often. I guess I would use this for super thick areas, or if I needed to perhaps hold something in place that was a little bit farther away from the edge of the fabric, but 99.9% of the time I just use the regular Wonder Clips. But again, here's the jumbo, what the jumbo looks like. Gloria says, I have a fair this month and I wanted to sell some of our handmade bags. Do I have to change the name of the bag? So that's a really great question. I'm not sure how other designers feel about this, but I have no problems with you using my patterns to sell bags at craft fairs or online. I don't mind if you change the name of the bag if you are kind of keeping with your brand and naming bags by your own name, that's completely fine with me. If I realize most people that are buying handmade bags don't necessarily sew, so having my pattern company name and the name of the pattern likely will not mean anything to those people if you're buying if they're buying your handmade bag. So I don't get hung up about any of that stuff. I'm just grateful that you've used one of my patterns for your craft fair items. So in short, it doesn't matter. I don't mind if you change the name. I don't mind if you don't include my brand name on your product listing or anything like that. I just wish you good luck at your craft fair, and that's pretty much it as far as that goes. Amy says, does the piping foot make piping, or is it just to install the piping? So that's a great question. It's basically just used for sewing the piping to your fabric. So you'll need to sort of assemble the piping with the cotton cording on the inside, and I do have another video on my YouTube channel for how to make and attach piping. So if you'd like to see the I guess the beforehand, getting the cotton cording and how to cut your fabric, all that, that video is on the YouTube channel as well. Beatles fan Sonia says, how did you come up with your logo? Gosh, it's been a while, but I think from the way Danny's smiling, I'm pretty sure he designed it. Is that right, Danny? Yes.
You know I designed it.
Danny did design the So Sweetness logo. In the early days, we had not had much experience with using graphic software like Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, and so I'm not sure how we arrived with that logo, but
it was actually after, you know that what's the cathedral window?
Mm-hmm.
That was my
The inspiration for the logo is the cathedral window quilt block. If you're a quilter, you might be familiar with that, and you can see the little logo on the left-hand screen of your monitor. But yes, props go to Danny for the logo.
And font choosing.
And the font, yes, and the font too. Candy says, loving my day trip wallet. It's now looking rough. Any suggestions for cleaning our bags? I actually have a demonstration on a future Social Sunday. I've been collecting a whole bunch of products recently in the sewing room, new stuff that I'd like to demonstrate. I recommend Scotchgard, but like I said, I will be demonstrating this on a future episode of Social Sunday. So Scotchgard is a fabric protector. I did do a lot of digging trying to find other similar products, and this is pretty much the most widely available, so I decided to just narrow it down and demonstrate just the Scotchgard. Robin says, would love to know how to use my Sizzix to cut my bags. Can you show that? I actually have a few videos on my YouTube channel demonstrating how I used each of my Sizzix dies. Sizzix is a manual die cutting machine. It cuts out fabric and interfacing for your projects. You just lay the fabric on the die, kind of run it through a little hand crank machine, and then it spits out your cut fabric and interfacing. But check my YouTube channel. I do have a section for all of the Sizzix videos. Not that there's a huge amount of them, but there are several on my YouTube channel. Yolanda says, what do we need for the sew-along? I'm new. So first of all, our sew-alongs are generally conducted in the Facebook group. There's a link to the Facebook group in the description of tonight's video if you're not already a member and would like to join. You'll basically need the pattern for the sew-along, which is the Sublime bag. That's available on my website. And then all of the updates will be conducted through the Facebook group in special albums. So everyone can show off their fabric selections and their progress as the sew-along goes by through photographs. So join the Facebook group. I'll let you know as soon as I have a concrete schedule for the sew-along. I'll let you know on the live shows, and you can also hear about it first in the Facebook group as well. Okay, so Glum's. Oh, thank you, Glum. Glum is linking to Minky Kim's. I'm going to slide over here so that's not covering my face. Glum is linking to Minky Kim's Instagram. I mentioned when I was doing the book review that Minky Kim has a fantastic Instagram account. That's her Instagram link right there. So it was instagram.com/Zeriano. It was Zeriano. Thank you, Glum. Glum is always watching out for me. Thank you so much. Okay, Eileen says, when will the essential oil container foam be available? So we ran out of stock on the essential oil foam inserts a couple weeks ago. I do have more on the way. I don't have a date to let you know because I don't have the tracking number for that order yet, but I'm assured should be with us soon, hopefully sooner rather than later, and I can let you know an update in the Facebook group and on the show as soon as we get those in, hopefully really soon. All right, let's see what else is coming through. Elaine says, have you ever tried Free Fuse Basting Powder by Quilter Select from the Quilt Show? I have not. I've not heard of that before, but I'm going to write that down so I can take a look after the show. Free Fuse Basting Powder. That sounds fascinating, the powder part. I've used basting sprays before, but I'll check that one out. Thank you so much, Elaine. I see another question coming through. What's the difference between Fray check and Fray block? If so, which is better? So I don't think I have, I'm not sure if I have any Fray check in the studio. Here's what the Fray block looks like. The Fray check comes in a little clear bottle with a blue lid on it. For years I used just Fray check. I had a problem with the Fray check because every time I'd go to use it, it would be clogged up, like the liquid would have dried up in the tube, and I'd have to use a little pin to get it free flowing and working again. For whatever reason, the Fray block has never given me issue. I've never had to unclog it. So, and plus, as you can see, this is a pretty decent sized little bottle, and this is I've had this for at least a couple years already, so, and it feels mostly full. They both work equally as well. My only issue with the Fray check was the bottle. I always had difficulty with that little bottle. Linda says, do you use Chuckle coil zippers? I'm not sure if you meant chunky coil zippers. I have used like sport zippers in the past with bigger plastic teeth. Again, forgive me if that's not exactly what you meant. I have since then preferred handbag zippers as opposed to the chunky sport zippers, but either will work for especially bigger bags like the airplane bag. Jane says, I'd love to make the day trip wallet, but wonder how difficult it is. So the thing about the day trip wallet, and with any project that is smaller, the smaller the project, usually the more challenging it is to sew. So for instance, if I have a pattern with 3 different sizes, like is the case for the train case, this is size large for the train case. The bigger sizes are always the easiest to sew. So in light of that, the day trip cell phone wallet, I'm not sure if I could grab one from over here. Okay, so this is the horizontal version of the day trip cell phone wallet. As you can see, it's a relatively smaller project. The part on this project that makes things a little bit more challenging, not difficult, but just a little more challenging, is that it has this front pocket on the front for storing your cell phone. I have seen Rock Baby Scissors. I don't know if you follow Rock Baby Scissors on Instagram, but Rock Baby Scissors makes and sells bags and accessories, and she's been making tons of these day trip cell phone wallets recently, tons. And I don't know if you follow her, you've already seen this, but she's been making a lot of these wallets without the front pocket because you can still fit a cell phone on the inside. I have my cell phone over here so I can show you. Here's my cell phone. I have a pretty big cell phone. As you can see, the cell phone fits on the inside as well as in the front pocket. So especially if you leave that front pocket off, and not that I'm encouraging you to do so, but you certainly could. It would be definitely much easier and a quicker of a sew without the front pocket. The front pocket just makes it a little bit thicker, but again, it's totally doable. I've minimized the interfacing to keep it out of the seam allowance to make it a bit easier for you. But this can be sewn on any home sewing machine, so don't think you need to have, say, an industrial machine to sew a project like this. Jane says, do you ship cork to the UK? We do ship cork to the UK. We ship cork and the notions, everything that we stock, the acrylic templates. We do ship those worldwide, and you can always calculate your shipping costs, especially if you're outside the United States, by putting your chosen items in the shopping cart, and there's a calculate shipping button, so you can get an idea of what the shipping will be before you check out. For international shipping, we do always refund a shipping overage, so if that's the case, we refund the shipping overage after we print out the shipping label, and Danny handles all that, and he's very diligent about making sure people are not paying more for shipping than what the shipping actually costs. Will you have an Aragon bag supply kit? So that's a really great question. I think the trouble with our last four-pack video bundles, actually probably the last 2 bundles, is that we were on a really tight deadline, self-inflicted deadline, but that left us not as much time for coordinating things like the supply kits. So hopefully we can get those on track at a later date. I apologize that we don't have supply kits for all of the videos, but we do have a supply kit section on the website for the supply kits that we do currently have in stock. Diana says, Fray check dries hard, Fray block dries soft. Oh, that's a really great observation. Probably why that's not getting stuck in this bottle. Denise says, what's the name of the fabric spray you use for ironing? I actually have that right here. I like using Flatter, which is a starch alternative spray. So it's available in several different scents and also unscented. Certainly unscented if perfumes and scents bother you. My two favorite scents that the Flatter comes in is pineapple and also fig. Those are my two favorites, but they have other scents as well. I don't know off the top of my head what those are, but I think there's at least 6 or 7 different scents. Corey says, are you going to get a video for the Edelweiss backpack? So eventually we hope to have videos for all of the previously released patterns. We're trying to do at least 12 to 16 brand new videos every year, depending on what the schedule allows. So I don't know exactly when that particular video will be coming out, but we're certainly, if we can get ahead of schedule, we're certainly happy to do more videos this year if possible. Alysia says, I keep a pin inserted in the little hole so it doesn't clog. Oh, that's a really good idea. That's for the Fray check. Kathleen says, if I cannot participate Tuesday, can I still get the free pattern? So that's a great question. Kathleen's question was about this Tuesday's show regarding the book club. So going along with the book club, there will be a free video and pattern for the Clydebank tote. First of all, that will be available free to everyone. So regardless if you read the book or not, it will be available starting Tuesday and available forever. So it won't be a limited time event kind of thing. After Tuesday, the free pattern and video will be available to everyone, and you can always find it on the YouTube channel. Madeline says, Sarah, where can I find the zippers for the backpack, having trouble getting them? Backpack. So if you're asking about the handbag zippers, we do have handbag zippers available in our shop. And you'll just go to sewsweetness.com. We have a shop section, and it's in the Notion section. We sell handbag zippers in, I don't know how many different colors. I think 40, 48 colors, lots of different colors. And the handbag zippers have the wider zipper tape, which is, I use the handbag zipper in this Day Trip cell phone wallet. The handbag zippers that we sell have 2 pulls on them. So if you are using the handbag zipper for maybe a smaller project where you don't have to use the whole entire length, you could potentially use that one handbag zipper for 2 projects since there's 2 pulls. If you're looking for the zippers by the yard or the zipper roll or zipper tape, my handmade, what was the shop called?
Bloomerl Boutique.
No, the name is escaping me. My Handmade Space, thank you. You can find My Handmade Space on their website or either on Etsy, and they sell the zippers by the yard if that was what you're looking for instead. Bronwyn says, Danny does a great job refunding overage, shipping overage. Bronwyn is talking about. It's always a lovely little surprise, and Bronwyn lives in New Zealand, so that's international shipping. Mary says, Sarah, I need a cork recommendation for the black and purple bark cloth from Outback Wife. It's right back here. Let me grab it. All right, so I think this is the one you're talking about. So this one has a bit of metallic silver. So I'm trying to remember what cork fabric I pulled out because I tried to match all my bark cloth fabrics to see which would be the best match. So for sure, the natural cork with silver would look nice. What do you think, Danny? Rose gold would look nice. Wine, maybe? What do you think about wine? No, not wine. This is a tough one because there's not an exact match for any of the actual colors in the fabric.
Well, black with silver, just that.
Black with silver. Yeah, I'd probably go with black with silver out of all the options that we... Thank you. Good one, Danny. Yeah, black with silver is our best guess for that particular one. Donna says, I got the woolly mat and it has a wave in it. Is there a way to get them out? So, Donna, why don't you email me after the show? My email is sarah@sewsweetness.com. I can help you with that. Yeah, we'll talk about it after the show, though. Are you calling in on the questions? All right, Danny's calling in on the questions. So I apologize if I did not answer your question live. I'll be back again. Well, normally Tuesday's show I'm answering questions, but this Tuesday we're doing book club. So next Tuesday I'll be answering lots more questions on the show. I have a giveaway for you this week, giving away some more corks. So decided to give away 6 rolls of cork fabric tonight. So while we're cutting through the rolls of cork fabric, we often end up with some short ends, like end cuts, which are fairly large. As you can see from these two, they're fairly large. Let me show you the other 3 pieces for the giveaway. Okay, so 6 rolls of cork fabric will be going to one randomly drawn winner. I'll be choosing a winner at the end of the day this Saturday from everyone who has answered my giveaway question. And all you need to do is type the answer to this question on either Facebook or YouTube. And my question is, what time do you usually wake up in the morning? So I'm normally waking up at 6 a.m. I know we had daylight savings last middle of the night or today, whatever you want to think of it as. So technically, I guess I woke up at 5 a.m., but since we had moved the clock forward an hour, it was my usual time of 6 a.m. I'm not sure how I accomplished that. So I've been up for quite a while today. But let me know your answer in the comments. Thank you again for joining me for Sewcial Sunday. I hope you had a great time. I sure did. I'll see you again next Sunday for Sewcial Sunday. Have a great week, everyone, and happy sewing. Bye.